Whenever something gets so popular, hate will always follow it. Not necessarily because the thing is bad, but rather you hear so much about it, you grow sick and tired of said idea. So when the opportunity to hate comes along, a lot of people will join in, even if the evidence is flimsy, or even non-existent. Vivian Medrano and her creation Helluva Boss fell into this not once, but many times previously. However, when the accusations come at her business practices, we fall down a rabbit hole that one may never get out of. Hello, I'm daftpina, and this is Helluva Boss. Fake abuse? But before we get into the allegations, we must get into the show itself, so what the hell is Heck of a Boss? Also later in the video I'm doing a tablet giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Helluva Boss is an internet web-based series created by Vivian Medrano and co-written by Brandon Rogers. The first season started October 31st, 2020, with season 2 starting July 30th, 2022. Though technically season 1 hasn't finished yet, but we'll get into that later. It is a juggernaut of online indie animation, and love it or hate it, it is helping pioneer sustainability with future prospects within the platform.
It's just my favorite show. I buy all their merch, like the shirts, the skateboard, and especially the 6-foot-tall standee of Luna. She watches over me at night at the foot of my bed. Christ, Steph, the things you'll have me say are gonna live with me the rest of my life.
Yeah, the show's pretty fun. I even have a signed picture from Richard Horvitz and Jill Harris because I wanted to support the show.
Hi, I'm Jill Harris, and you should subscribe to daftpina.
Unlike previous online cartoons, such as Bee and Puppy Cat, it is a fully sustainable project, not backed by a major studio. While its sister show Has Been Hotel is being worked on with A24 and Bento Box for animation, well, you get the point, you know what I mean? While YouTuber animators have gotten shows, such as The Annoying Orange, or more recently, Oddballs, we were talking about the works not involving the stars themselves. Smiling Friends would be in the same vein. However, those clamoring to see me review the Oddballs show better hold your hellhounds. Mainly because it won't happen. I'm sure the show will be alright, inoffensive, and fine. But I will review Helluva Boss Season 1, so stay tuned for that, whenever that is. Circling back to online animation, the waiting game is the most anticipated interactive venture for Vivian's fans, as drawing takes a bit of time to do. In fact, between Season 1, Episode 7, and Season 2, Episode 1 was nearly 9 months. Someone could have had a whole ass baby in that time right there.
Me? I did. I had a baby.
Wait, really? I didn't even know what you were expecting. Congrats.
Oh, no, I had a baby burrito. I actually had several in that time, but you get the point.
Anyway, this is an irregular part in the show, as previously the episodes range between 2 to 4 months between release. So if you want that sweet juicy info or behind the scenes that tide you over, you need to support the show on Patreon or get drip fed that underworld goodness from Twitter. But tiding people over with merch videos and live streams can only do so much for a fan base hungry for more episodes. Then one day, something faithful happened. Finally. Some news about the much-hyped Part 2 season finale. But June 3rd, 2022, the account Murder Pros sent out a disappointment rather than relief, as Vivian herself said they cannot release this episode anytime soon. And she posted it with an oddly squished font that was a bit hard to read at first. Apparently episode 7 was the actual finale of the story for season 1, so the next episode really wasn't a part 2, it was more so of a spectacle than a grand narrative people wanted, so they decided to skip that one and give us season 2 already, and with that, it gives fans another 2 to 4 months away to see if they release a second episode for season 2, or maybe the 8th episode. Whatever it may be, luckily season 2 episode 1 was a prequel, which was able to move the plot forward, even if not continuing the plot from the previous episode.
Sorry, I fucked your husband.
What the fuck?
My speculation ties back to an unlisted video on Vivian's channel. You know the Die Young one that helped get her famous? So my guess is that song was going to be used in the episode. So perhaps legal issues came to pass and she's sorting that out. But if that's the case, since it's an indie production, I would have just paid someone to make a sound-alike or a new song entirely, but that's just me. Vivzy tweeted about her mental health, as let me tell you, fans are disappointed and they let her know. This is on top of the fact she's running both an indie and TV production, so stress is always on her shoulders. So Vivian decided to take a break from Twitter to get some time to herself, though the stress was about to get a lot worse for not only Vivian, but the entire production as well. But what isn't worse is you giving my channel a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Do it for me and my cats Bear and Marvel. June 21st, 2022, I was notified of what was soon to be a fandom-tearing event by a Twitter user named Saltbug. It's always nice that people want to see me talk about things, and I very much appreciate it every time someone suggests look into something.
And I get to voice things in the videos, except the last one for some reason, and break up the pace of the video for a joke.
Right on, friend. Interesting enough, however, the Tumblr post they shared did not come out recently, but way earlier in the month of June. It details events as told by a former artist for Spindlehorse, Aaron Frost. Within the long post, they said Vivian demanded unreasonably tight deadlines if they got any at all. She demanded loyalty as to never speak about other shows, especially not other indie projects, and were really not allowed to work on other ones either. At a point in time, the crew would watch an episode crossover of Villainous and of the show, with Vivian telling them to rip it apart. And supposedly, Dan Terrence of the Owl House was hell to work with, and previously Vivian treated everyone equally until a hierarchy system took place. People would have to report to group leaders such as Sam Miller, making Vivian mostly unreachable. Sam being, as they described, the God Friday and de facto leader when Vivian was gone. They proceeded to give their suspicions on budget, pointing towards the expensive talents such as Norman Reedus and possibly Weird Al, though it was said the latter rejected the offer. As for production, Vivian wanted an episode out every 1 to 2 months and had no sympathy towards those who had jobs such as Aaron themselves. Having the draw on top of a 30 to 40 hour work week at Starbucks was pretty rough for them. Vivian also allegedly threatened other creators to not hire her artists, but says they cannot verify this. As for an anecdote within an anecdote, someone at Bento Box had met Vivian, who said that she finds the ideas of investing in artists and their careers laughable, and so they cap off the post saying they've given up on their animation career for the time being. Now these are some lofty claims to say the least, and require a lot of evidence to be shown if proved true, but once they made it on Twitter, people had a field day with them. One Twitter user, Muchmao, documented everything within a thread, with others sharing grievances of pictures of other people's words and the replies. But also the note, Fortune Loads here also made a thread that got more attention.
Oh, I remember seeing this on Twitter and I was like, what the fuck? I just bought this 6-foot tall Luna standee. Do I have to get rid of it now? Who's gonna watch Over Me at Night? You really want to hammer in that I have this standee? How did you know?
For some of the people mentioned, we have Darlene Kaz, who ran at Angel Dust Instagram, 9doodles, who said something negative, with Sam Miller running into their DMs to tell him to be quiet, Yukino Joe saying they were never paid for their voice work in Hazbin Hotel, Spectral Beacon, who was treated badly, and Squirtle Doodle, who notes the shabby environments with people not getting their pronouns right, they them. With all this spreading around and accumulating on Twitter, people started to want more for those calling out the company. Because when you look past the lines, you start to realize there might not have been a lot there in the first place. So let's look at a different angle. Before we get into that, let me tell you about today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Savor every last second of summer and start of fall with HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers fresh, quality produce from the farm to your door in less than a week, allowing you to enjoy the delicious flavors of the season right from your home. And that's what I like. Discover seasonal recipes from the Taste of Summer series, like the Old Bay Shrimp and Sausage Boil, family-style grilled steak lettuce wraps, and so much more. Wow. Hello Custom allows you to customize your box by swapping out one protein or side for another, upgrading for a more luxe experience, or adding a protein to a veggie meal. You can even update your delivery address and enjoy HelloFresh at your vacation destination with just a click. Now, plans are flexible, so they will work with your ever-changing schedule. Foolproof step-by-step recipes means a joyful cooking experience and a stress-free summer. That means more choices, more variety, and more meals tailored to you. That's a tailor I can trust. So use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGPINAOG16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. A summer deliciousness awaits for you with HelloFresh. Looking into these claims becomes a bit tricky, as they're either misleading, mostly true, outright false, or unprovable. Such as claims to never talk about another project could be provable if it was typed in the work Discord, but not if it was in a random call because it wasn't recorded, causing the statement to be unprovable and anecdotal. But at the very least, in more recent times, Vivian has been seen on Twitter promoting other animated projects, such as Pippi, on YouTube. Though for going against people's works, Twitter artist Princess Kitten Art noted Vivian specifically said for people to never support them, and they claim they have evidence.
Let me guess, it wasn't anything substantial.
Yep, when they posted it, it turned out not to be a direct line from Vivian, but a third party claiming this, and with no visual proof. As for tearing apart Villainous, an old tweet did show the crew watching Phantom of the Opera, the sequel musical, not the original one. They made fun of it. So for Villainous, was it more of a ripping apart, or was it just something a company did? You know, riff on things like MST3K, I guess? Again, just a screenshot proving it. In regards to the budgets and hiring high-profile voice actors, I suppose they can afford it. That's it. Noting they have about 200 artists working for them at a time, it seems they have enough excess funds to get these actors, or they budgeted in order to do so. As for Weird Al turning down the offer, many people don't know this, but he's a devout Christian who's against alcohol, excessive profanity, and drugs, so if they asked him, he probably felt uncomfortable being on the sex murder show. He did also turn down a celebrity deathmatch appearance many years prior. And looking into a lot of the claims from Aaron, some other speculation are purely anecdotal, but instead, let's focus on the other people we mentioned first. 9doodles never actually actually worked on the show, as they tested for it and nothing came to be. They did say they never claimed to have worked on it, but one would argue the language used would make most assume so, especially because they waited a day to clarify. They posted a twit longer and some DMs, so let's take a closer look at what they said. Sam Miller contacted 9doodles regarding a post they promoted and said to just talk to people. But as it turned out, 9doodles had been emailing Vivian for months regarding their test and still got no answer. And so Sam wanted to know what happened, and seems 9doodles was promised to pay for their tests like they were told, but never got it. Sam said, I can talk to her about you getting paid, which is good to hear, but if you look right here, it seems there's a little more messages. 9doodles isn't showing. It's kind of weird. It is terrible that they were ghosted regarding pay, though it also seems their problem was solved, but were they paid? Do you want to show the rest of the DMs? As for the twit longer, they explained a bit more of the situation about getting paid, and if they were promised it, well, hope they're paid. Darlene Kaz, also not being on the main production, did not show screenshots for evidence regarding their work on the Angel Dust Instagram account. Oddly enough, that is a story in of itself, as some of the accounts were official and non-official, despite often interacting with each other, though all of them, even ones run by the crew, are considered mostly non-canon. Doing my research on the matter, the creation of the Instagram accounts had mixed origins, but the Blitz one was an inside joke at the studio. It was made not for promotion of the show, rather just for the humor of seeing the character talking only about horses and coffee. And so this expanded to a still less account that often interacted with Blitz, thus opening the floodgates for other studio artists to make adjacent character accounts. But at a certain point in time, crew members brought in outside friends into the picture. This quickly got out of hand, ending up with fans being misled, causing the crew to either run the account seriously or just simply shut them down. With the exception of Blitz and Still Lost, the latter was chosen for the rest of the accounts. For Yukino Joe, they later admitted they agreed to not getting paid for Hazmat Hotel. So much like 9doodles, the absence of the extra info paints a different picture for the audience to look at. And when it came to contacting these people, it was a mixed bag. Darlene Kaz did not respond. Squirterdoodle did, but they said they wanted to wait to make further statements, so a month later contacted them, no response. Sam Miller did not respond, but that's because they blocked me on Twitter, so take with that what you will. Princess Ken did respond, really just reiterated what was said on Twitter, with the new fact that the moderator was supposedly fired from their position. Spectral Beacon did respond, and noted they were only involved with Hazmat Hotel more than 3 years ago, though hasn't been on the series since then. And lastly, Farron Frost had scheduled a Discord call with them, and I even notified them that their post is getting rounds on Twitter, is understanding how situations like this can go, warning them ahead of time can curb potential harassment, mainly from fans, either enclosing DMs on Twitter or Discord. They eventually declined the call, needing some time to think about the situation. I said alright, and archived any and all interactions they had with Vivian, because again, at this point, they did not show evidence of their claims. Over a month later, I contacted them again, and it was still nothing, with them decide they will release the info in due time. I asked at the very least that they have evidence to prove it, but they did not get back to me on that matter. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, as not everyone watched my John Bob video where I showed people how to properly archive things, but over time, the benefit of said doubt was waning. What definitely didn't help their case was pushback from people who still work on the show, be it the artists or voice actors. Sam Haft, half the living tombstone and music person for Spindlehorse, claims Vivian is a literal baby lamb, noting he has seen people turn cruel and dishonest when they cannot milk her for money anymore. He further clarifies what is and isn't an abusive workplace. Getting fired when not doing a good job, people at the job having prior friendships, or not getting an explanation on why you weren't hired, or all things he clarifies is not abuse. What is being fired for no reason, favoritism based on race, sexuality, or gender, and lastly, not being hired due to a disability or identity, none of which had happened here. And as it turned out, several people breached NDAs during the process, meaning they'll have to deal with legal trouble or possibly fines for speaking out against the company, especially when providing no evidence. Kinda weird. He goes on to say that people choose the shots they want to work on, which means if an artist is getting overworked, it's really on them. They just need to tell someone they're getting overworked. I definitely factor in all the small details you have to draw for the characters, and as boy, there's a lot of details. Whew. To bring up Sam Miller again, he says, yeah, she's one of her best friends. And also that Vivian cannot drop everything to respond to every tweet that releases.
Oh, that's why she never responded to me asking about Luna's feet. What? Why are you making me say these things? What? Why?
Commenting on the matter, animated Mao and Camille Gonzalez collaborate with Sam in that people choose how much they work. Horror Freak HC says they never felt overworked, and Michael Rucco loved working on the show. Even the deleted tweets by Monica Franco, the voice of Aggie, says Viv is nice. Now this is a stark contrast to the cesspool of hate and toxicity that previous people claimed the workplace to be, and it would be a bit more inclined to believe if more evidence was shown, but at this time, there isn't any more. Though this is not noting the random people on Twitter like Wild Witch Frey, who claim Vivian Vivian is a pedophile? Oof. With Aaron Frost leaving the company over a year ago, perhaps the work environment changed over time and maybe it isn't like what it used to be? Yeah. Meet Adam Leyland, writer on both Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss, who's also the production supervisor. He had been brought in a year and a half ago to address issues within the company, noting that every lead artist was doing the work of 3 or more people, further stating that if anyone had an issue with the company, they can contact him about it. And so I did, but we'll get into that later. With all the revelations that most if not all that we found, rather misunderstandings, miscommunications, old workplace environments, outright lies, or anecdotal events, or things that are later solved, let's get into the deeper issues that reside in situations like this. A question you might ask is how long can drama last for a creator? Or perhaps a better one would be how long does old drama stay relevant for a creator? Or if you like my new shirt. I've worn it before, but like, it's new in the video. Whenever something new comes up about a person, be it true or false, the old stuff said person did will crop up in the replies. Either as a, don't forget about this, or they have a pattern, even if there isn't one, I guess. The drama or accusations will stick to the creator forever, with the greater audience always wanting an explanation, even if it was already explained. Such as Vivian doing just that in 2018 on their old Tumblr account. Even again in 2019, talking about the old cringy art, one being a supposed relationship, but turned out just to be an antagonist. You know, the bad person of the series? Or the other thing to do with snakes? Like, this person can turn to snakes, I guess? Or what happened between Vivian and FNAF creator Scott Cawthon, in which both parties got their justice leaked from each other's fan bases. In often cases, after someone makes this announcement, someone might correct them and say they already addressed this, and the initial person would say, okay, sure, but they still did it, as if they were hoping people wouldn't press upon it, like it was a immediate issue. Over time, these accusations can be built up and misconstrued, like a game of telephone with the internet's bad memory or lack of evidence.
I sure love to spread false info online, but mainly on things that don't matter, like the round earth theory, or this Luna figure that you keep making me say stuff about. What is a Luna?
This is most likely where the Viv is a pedo came from, that one drawing from 10 years ago. The rumors escalated further when someone in my community post about Helluva Boss claims the crew itself even has pedos. What? So when Twitter user goes, remember the time Vivian was a pedophile? It is out of place, not only because it's not true, it will muddy the waters of conversation, and people will just go along with it because they hate Vivian for one reason or another. And I don't believe this will be the last time we hear about this stuff. There'll be a time in the future where another art tester, one who forgets to say they never actually were on production, but were just testing to be on the production, will say bad things about the production. People will regurgitate what was talked about here, and more pressure will be on Vivian to talk about it once more, but this time with less context and bite-sized bits. So with that, I suppose we should talk about transparency and what it means for creators' works. Vivian Madrano is the leader, or director, creator, producer for Spindlehorse. She works on Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel, both on indie and more professional sides. Her time is divided into different groups, overseeing many intricate parts of the animation machine. Do you hear the cicadas outside? Cicadas? Cocadas. Due to keeping things a secret, be it in NDAs or not wanting to spoil, there is an air of mystery that the audience sniffs out through this process of research. So when you see her vent on Twitter about things she cannot talk about, it is natural for people to wonder what is going on, because most of the time she legally cannot say anything. Speaking of legal kerfuffle, music from the Hazbin Hotel pilots was slowly taken down due to copyright. With the Vivian and A24 partnership, they need the rights to the music, in the event they would end up using in the series. So artist Gooseworks had to sign over said rights. Her and Evan already are actually working on the current series music as well, so it's nice to hear they're still on the project. And if you want to learn more about her works and made a video with her, you can watch after this one. Circling back, when Vivian took a break on Twitter, these allegations did not help her mental state, and so it was natural for her employees to come to her side. While the more cynical can say they're only white knighting her because she pays them, the opposite can argue that if she was a Helluva Boss, then they might have left by now. And it can just be the case that people like her. So she's in a position where not much really can be done on her end to talk about things, as there are many tweets and videos, including this one, that talk about situations she's in, and even if she does want to address, what would that really accomplish? Vivian, being accused of being a bad boss, will say that, well, she herself is a good one, and people will say, if she comes after the former employees, she'll look vindictive or harsh. If she vague tweets or types a lot, people won't like either or. In my opinion, her responding at the very least, with the stuff that we talked about, will just add more fuel to the flame. As let me tell you, people will pick apart your dressings of things. And it's to be understood that a lot of this emotion was because of fans' frustrations the promised season 1 finale that was not meant to be at this time. Perhaps people were more inclined to believe that Vivian was this big oaf who doesn't know what she's doing, and these behind the scenes claims helped with that notion. You can't can dislike Vivian's works, be it Hazbin Hotel or Helluva Boss. Believe me, I have. Though when it comes to production, with what we have today, there isn't much to go off about. The crew, both current voice actors and animators, like her, and that should be seen as a good thing. I would very much rather Vivian be a decent person who pays her animators well, as that means they'll have a job and continue to live. Interesting enough, I actually have a video about this kind of stuff, a Filmation one, and with all the drama that came out of it, they were looking to pay the artist more, go figure. Though I must note, with Aaron coming out about this, it was never a case of bringing Vivian down or launch a crusade against her. Aaron made her vent posts on Tumblr, and with it making its way on Twitter, the ball sort of rolled on its own without any guidance. Could things have gone differently if this Tumblr post never made the Twitter? Well, very much so, as what was typed here was not a statement to cancel, rather a place to vent. The trouble of having your name attached means that people will use you as a martyr, even if you don't wish to participate. While one can say she's doing this for attention, I'd argue the opposite. Talking with her, I get the feeling that it was a coincidence that her post was shared on Twitter. In fact, I would further argue that if she had been doing this for some sort of recognition, then she probably would have made more than 3 tweets regarding the matter, let alone the fact she never pressured or tried to convince me to get a video out on the subject matter. Also of note, after our talks, she went radio silent and unfriended me from Discord. To speak out against bad business practices is beneficial, as mentioned with my Filmation video. In fact, with this, we actually got to see a great deal of transparency regarding the way Spindlehorse does their business, pointing to how people choose the shots and they have people to talk to in regards to feeling overworked. So to end on a more positive note, I had a nice chat with Adam Malin regarding production of the series, noting there are NDAs that kind of ask basic questions to understand things. Hope you understand. You better. Before the Helluva Boss pilots, everyone did report to Vivian Madrano directly, but over time, leads began to be assigned to teams, though there still was an open door policy to talk with Vivian for concerns or questions. When Adam came to the picture, she was less accessible, with artists mainly talking to departmental heads since the series officially began. While conversing through Discord, if an employee had an issue, instead of talking to Vivian, they first spoke with a lead. This can be anything from scheduling, problems, or concerns about the amount of work. Adam does note he does weekly check-ins on the artists, be it mental health, time off, or illnesses they're encountering, though they should talk about with the departmental heads first, including concerns about workload, allotments, extensions, or time off of work. If an artist cannot meet a deadline, they will pass off the remainder to someone else, and they do ask how much an artist can take on. And this ranges from full-time and super part-time employees. As said before with the tweets, employees choose how many seconds to work, and this extends to other parts, such as backgrounds as well. It can be the case that some who previously worked at Spindlehorse overworked themselves or felt cast aside when they couldn't talk to Vivian directly, because at the time, there wasn't a structure to really understand how people were feeling. Aaron has done a lot of backgrounds, character turnarounds, and props, so they were taking a lot on their shoulders. After asking Aaron about it, they said Adam was hired on after she left the production, telling him about artist leads that are being abusive to employees, with evidence. He said he would look into it, since she never heard from him again, which makes sense, because she doesn't work at the company anymore. Why would he keep talking to an ex-employee about business stuff? She doesn't work there anymore. When asked Adam regarding this, he said,
"We have investigated all claims brought to us and took appropriate action based on our findings."
And since these words are divulged to him in confidence by artists, I'm unable to show such screenshots within this video. I'd asked Adam regarding anyone wanting to join an animation team, and he said to keep some things in mind.
Retakes, notes, and feedback are not statements about your value or talent as an artist, just how well the art fits for the show/scene/moment. So do your best not to take it personally or think you're failing.
To understand how a shown is drawn, even with guides and turnarounds, can take some time. As to keep the art more consistent, it is understandable that tweaks need to be made, here and there.
As friendly and full of camaraderie as studios can be, they are also places of work. Social boundaries need to be observed.
And at the end of the day, work needs to be done on time, not just for your bosses, but for every artist after you. The more you delay the work and pay of all those other artists ahead of you, who also need to make a living. So when shots are passed to another artist, it's not a personal attack, it's just good for the production and other people. Lastly, he said,
"Be ready for how difficult and stressful it can be. Animation isn't an easy job. Working at a consistent pace to a deadline is difficult, and while we take all the steps we can to alleviate undue pressure,
the task of having to be creative on command consistently throughout your work week is really hard and can be mentally taxing. Just take care of yourself, don't bite off more than you can chew, and remember that one extra shot isn't worth burning yourself out." On the opposite side, I also asked about organizing a team for yourself in animation, and so he said this.
"As for organizing a production, I think the biggest advice is to try to understand the hows and whys of the way professional studios are organized. There's a reason they are compartmentalized. There's a reason there's divided labor and leadership. There's a reason for all the little annoying redundancies in file management."
Not every studio needs to run the same because every project is different with different needs. But learn everything you can for the professional structure and use it to your benefit to avoid common mistakes that can damage the functioning of your pipeline. Putting that all on one person is unsustainable and prone to failures along the way. It's also important to remember your team is vital and treat them with respect to your time and health. These artists are real people with limits, and while working on an animated project will be hard, you have to create an environment to be the best you can be within it. And to touch upon Erin Frost and her work in the show, considering they had left before major changes had occurred, they most likely have been through a lot. Erin had filled a lot of roles on the show, so if their jobs they most likely were overworked for the sake of the final product. Not to mention, this was on top of their job at Starbucks that was running them into the ground. I suppose I would question what is making a goal if you feel absolutely terrible at the end of it. You won't be able to see what you've done in good light, and Erin, amongst many other people, have done good works in the show. But be it within miscommunication of one's problems or workload, feeling left out of the picture in the overall machine, or feeling useless in the face of it all, at the very least talking with Adam, I can see things becoming better. I do wish for those like Erin that they can find their passion back for art someday, but no matter how good the experiences are now for the company, the grassroots disorganized origins of Spindlehorse may have negatively affected many others in order to learn from it and get to where the show is now. While definitely not intentional, it is sad to see the more bleak aspects forever remain the hearts of these former employees, never being able to escape what they've been through. While at one point, Spindlehorse was a disorganized mess that burnt out a lot of creatives, over time it got to a place where not only did you work there to get paid, but felt proud of and safe to do so. And with the way streaming services are treating animators and animation teams, we do need more indie companies to take in such artists. And I do look forward to reviewing Helluva Boss Season 1 someday, but if Season 2 finishes first, I guess I'll do that one instead. Like, why would I review most of a season? Who knows? But what I do know is to thank Solidus JJ for voicing lines in the video, as he always does a great job. A special thank you goes out to people on my Patreon, who you can see right here. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, join my Patreon, follow me on Twitter, and join Ellis Marks and I's Discord for the fun ha-has and hee-hees. Until next time, thank you for watching. Oh, I almost forgot. It's time for the drawing contest, the drawing tablet contest. You thought I forgot, but I didn't. But first and foremost, I know what you're saying. How can we trust a YouTuber to actually deliver on the contest? Well, luckily for you, last time I did one, I literally told the winners to post on Twitter to prove they actually got one. Take a look, it's real. So for this contest, I'm giving away 2 Artist 10 2nd Gen tablets. But before we get into that, let me tell you about the tablets. This new series of XPPen tablets comes in 3 sizes, from 10.1, 11.9, and 15.4 inches, with the former I'm showing off today. It comes in 4 trendy colors, such as black, green, blue, and pink. It comes with a brand new X3 Smart Chip that offers a more realistic, sensitive, and stable experience when drawing. It's above its class compared to the previous drawing tablets from XPPen, and reduces all signal interference, resulting in clear, dependable lines. Wow. I've used XPPen for years, and I can vouch by their quality. They're great. So now for the contest, you have to follow these steps. In order to get the Artist 10 in your color of choosing, 2 winners. You must follow XPPen and I on YouTube and Twitter, and draw my 2 OCs for my upcoming production, tentatively titled Ashley and Lucy. Post the drawings on Twitter and tag daftpina, me, and XPPen in order to enter the contest. But keep in mind, due to the shipping restrictions, XPPen is not able to ship to South America, except for Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina, also no shipping to Africa and India. If the selected winners are from a country you cannot send it to, the price will be replaced with cash. If there was a custom import price, the winner will have to pay that fee. Drawing can be anything and everything, from digital to on paper, so go wild, wacky, and fun. Winners will be chosen by the end of the month, August, with everyone's art shown off in an upcoming video. If you don't win, XPPen has a lot of other great products you can take a look at, such as this wonderful leather-covered mousepad, and this 3-in-1 USB-C cable, making it easy for anyone with a MacBook to draw on. Lots of great accessories and tablets can be seen at xppen.com. I can't wait to see what you all have, but till next time, please don't forget to have fantastic